Hey guys, what's up and welcome to a new Tesla update video. So today, as per usual, let's go over Tesla and let's go over the market. The first day of the week, since yesterday, of course, was an off day. But all that being said and done, let's talk about it. Let's figure out what has happened today. And if you enjoyed the video, of course, as usual, don't forget to hit that like button. Again, this is not financial advice. Make your own decisions. Do your own research. This is just for your entertainment purposes only. And of course, I do have my membership section now live for $2.99 a month. You get access to my thoughts live as they happen throughout the day as Tesla moves. I pretty much consistently keep updating on any major points that I think are worth sharing. So the link is down below if you want to join that. We are over 100 members now, which is pretty sweet. But all that being said, let's just jump right into it. Market closing in just a minute, and a bit of a rally towards the end of the day, actually. So that's pretty interesting to see. But yeah, let's discuss it. So Tesla looking like it'll be closing just above $200, actually, putting us up another 4% compared to the market. A pretty impressive outperformance for the most part. Definitely some beautiful follow through. Now, there's a few very important things to know. There's a bunch of good and bad things. I mean, I guess depending on if you're a bull or a bear, but there's a lot of bullish and bearish things to discuss. So we'll talk about both aspects, both scenarios, and what both, categories essentially want to see, what the bulls and the bears want to see for their respective, I guess, action, if you will, to play out. But let's just jump into it. So let's talk about the bullish side first. So there's a decent amount of stuff to talk about here for the bullish side. First and foremost, there's three, I guess, most important things to discuss are as follows. So the first and foremost, we are closing, of course, above 200. That is a very crucial level. And the fact that we're closing above 200, again, that's just one of many things, right? There's, doesn't mean that we close above 200. That's it. We'll never see hundreds again. Absolutely not. But it is a pretty good start. On top of that, we're also closing above the 200 daily moving average. Also a good start, right? Or a good sign rather, because that has a lot of weight behind it. But again, as usual, guys, this, it's not the, end all be all kind of thing, right? Just because we're above the 200-day moving average, again, that doesn't mean that it'll never see 100s again or 190 or 170 or where. That does not mean that whatsoever, because again, just look at it historically if you don't believe me, right? Many times we've rallied back above it, and then we collapse right back under it, and then we rally back above it, and then way below it, and then way above it, and then way below. There's a lot of times where it hasn't really been, here for instance, it was not too bad, right? But even here, we collapsed below it, started closing candles, went back above it, then back below it several times, and then back above it, and then ultimately we kept holding. The point is that it's not just like, oh, we're above the 200, it's over, thank goodness, to the moon we go. Absolutely not. But it's just one of many checklists, things to check off on the checklist, right? But it's obviously better than not, I guess, closing above the 200-day moving average if you're a bull, not so much if you're a bear. But again, there's obviously a lot more to it than just that. On top of that, we're also breaking out of, it seems like, it could be a false breakout. You never know. You always want to be careful with these. But at the moment, it does seem like we are breaking out of this blue line that you can see over here, this little blue trend line, which is also good to see. And today we actually came down to retest it. You can't just see it on the daily, but we did come down. Whenever we did lose 200, we pretty much came right back down to the blue line you can see here and bounced off of it. It happened like 3 times, I think. Yeah, once in the I guess twice, but once in the morning, and then we came back to it again in this whole section right here of 2 hours. We pretty much bounced off of it, I guess twice, maybe 3 times total if you want to count it like that. But the point is we bounced off of it several times today and truly showing that line was an absolute, resistance. Yeah, before it was a resistance and now we broke out of it. We retested it intraday, of course, not as meaningful in my opinion as if you come back and do a daily retest. So for instance, let's say we do this, and then this, as an example, right? That to me is a little bit more, validity behind it, but nonetheless, a pretty good sign regardless. So those, in my opinion, are the most important things for the bulls that they wanted to see that has happened so far. And on top of that, even though the RSI on the daily is actually now in overbought territory, again, that doesn't mean that you have to just crash here, right? All this means to me is, well, I mean, honestly, right now, it doesn't mean anything to me at all. What it might mean, however, is if we start seeing a bearish divergence. If we start seeing a bearish divergence, that is, in my opinion, where I would start getting a little bit worried as a bull. But as of right now, we don't really see a whole lot of that at all. So it's looking pretty fine. Nothing to worry about over here just yet. Just because it's overbought doesn't really mean anything just yet. It can, but not at the moment, in my opinion. So, all in all, yeah, it's not looking too bad for the bulls. And the fact that we could close above 200 is pretty good as well. So the bulls are, they should be feeling pretty happy. They're above 200. They're above the 50. They're above the 100, right? Well above those. They're above the 21 EMA, right? So, well above all of these things as well. So moving forward from here, the question is, of course, well, what's the next stop, right? Assuming all these bullish theses hold, and so far they are, and so far it's not looking bad. What's the next step, right? Where do we go next as a bull here? Where do we rally to next? First and foremost, I mean, I would be looking for somewhere around like 207 to 210. And of course, other than that, I would look for something around 215 to as high as about 218. Those are the main levels I'd be personally being, watching very closely. Now, that's the bullish side. Let's talk about the bearish side. What do the bears want to see, right? Or what are the catalysts for the bears, right? To make this thing just plummet back down or something like that, right? Back to well into the hundreds, let's say. Well, the first and foremost is the fact that I do think that, there is an absolutely real possibility this is a false breakout, right? This absolutely can just get plummeted right back into, what's it called? This little wedge, if you will, over here, the blue lines, right? Absolutely possible. You also have TSLQ. A little bit of a more interesting look, right? TSLQ to me actually doesn't look that bad. Now, of course, the daily still doesn't have any bullish divergence on TSLQ, but it is approaching what could be here, what looks like it could be a pretty massive bounce spot for TSLQ, which of course, if it bounces here, that means TSLA is of course going the other way, right? But just if I were to just completely ignore the fact that this is TSLQ, and if I were just to look at this as just a completely different ticker, irrelevant to Tesla whatsoever, and I looked at this chart, I would be slightly leaning bullish. Now, I wouldn't be fully leaning bullish because, again, I don't like the way the RSI looks like at the very moment. But if there is a place to bounce, at least even temporary, this could be absolutely that place right here. As you can see, we bounced over here several times, right? Massive area here, did it right here, and now we're pretty much right back at that exact area once again. So just take that for what it's worth, guys. Very important to understand. We also have the VIX just really still not finding any really, real strength at the moment, which is good for Tesla, good for the market. So keep that in mind as well. Also keep in mind if SPY does fall out of this little, blue line wedge again and really falls down under it, could be pretty bad as well. So, it did close above yesterday, or I guess Friday's close. So that's a good sign. But, these are all things that will affect Tesla. But as a bear, regardless, what you want to be seeing is, again, you want to see it not only collapse below 200, maybe ideally tomorrow. And honestly, the sooner the better. Because the longer Tesla holds above 200, the more validity it brings to it being like an actual, strong closure above 200. But, if it's tomorrow, even as late as Thursday, if it does go back under, and especially if it goes back into this wedge over here, so essentially back and under like 195, let's say, which is almost where we fell under today. That'll be really good for the bears. The bears definitely want to be seeing something like that. And, that's pretty important, right? And of course, ultimately the bears want the bottom blue line to essentially falter and we fall back underneath that. That's what the bears want to see. On top of that, the one thing I will give the bears some potential, glimmering hope here is the fact that this move up has been pretty, I guess ever since like this 165 area here has been pretty explosive, right? It's been a pretty aggressive move up, a lot of very powerful green candles, which is good for now. But the point I'm trying to bring up here is the fact that whenever you have these kind of explosive, very aggressive, just almost straight up moves like this with very little consolidation, we had a tiny bit of like 3 days of consolidation, then just rocketed back up again, right? Usually when you have moves this aggressive to the north, or I mean really to the south or the north, doesn't really matter, up or down, right? But the point is when you have moves this aggressive in one direction, this fast as well, not only do they not usually last that long, but once they do lose their footing, and they do, it's just a matter of when, not if, they will at some point, the move to the downside ends up being decently aggressive as well. Just keep that in mind. So that's something the bears, in my opinion, have to look forward to. At some point, this will probably go down pretty aggressively, whether it's we go up to maybe 210 first, maybe 215, maybe this is just a false breakout. I do think that the move to the downside, once it does come, will be a bit more aggressive. However, as a bull, if it comes up to, let's say, 215 first, I think the move to the downside will just simply be another actual formal retest of this. And then, of course, we'll go from there, maybe go up even higher, right? That's a possibility for sure. So that's something I'll be looking at as well. But those are the main things I'll be personally looking at as well, right now I'm a bull. I do have a bullish position, but if we come up to this area, I will start turning a lot more into a bearish person once again around 215 especially, right? That's where I'll start turning bearish. On top of that, we're also just so far up above the green line of the Bollinger Band, the fact that it literally can't even keep up with us, right? That's also a little bit of a cause for concern, right? Usually when you have a move this explosive and it goes just this far past the green line or the red line, doesn't really matter, and to the point where it can't even keep up, it's hard to sustain that kind of move for a very long time. And again, as I always say, usually when you have these moves like this, it reverts back to the medium, right? Which of course in this case will be the white line of the Bollinger Band. So just keep that in mind, guys, as well. Also very, very important. I know this is exciting, and I do think that there is definitely more room to the upside with today's closure. But again, I want to make it clear, once this party finishes, once the music stops playing, and it will, it's just a matter of when, not if, it will get a little bit ugly for at least a short term. So just I want to make it be very transparent. Even though I have a bullish position right now, I have cash secured puts, that is a very real possibility. So just keep that in mind, guys. I don't want to be, again, I'm not here to be a bull or a bear. I'm here to be, I picked the side that I think is the correct side, whether it's a bull or a bear. I don't really care. I'm not, either or. But anyway, that's kind of the main things I'm seeing right now, guys. There's a lot of stuff to talk about there, but that's pretty much the main premise I would see at the very moment. Also, wouldn't be surprised if Tesla comes down to the 21 EMA at some point. Now, pretty much, if we do, let's say this is a false breakout, and let's say we do come back down. I do think that it won't go much lower than this, right? And the bulls will really want to hold 180. And if we ever lose 180 again, that's where the bears really start taking control. So that's going to be extremely important as well. So to the upside, I think the bulls have a chance up to almost 210, if not maybe even like 218, as high as 218, maybe close to 220. That's like the best case scenario, right? But if we get there, I'm going to get pretty bearish. However, if the bulls falter here, and this is a false breakdown, I do think the bears really want to break back under 195 and especially 180 to really take control of Tesla once again. So yeah, that's kind of what I'm seeing, guys. We'll take it step by step as per usual. Tomorrow might be a big day as well with the signing, I believe, of the ceiling debt. So we'll see what comes with that. But all that being said, thank you all so much for watching. Check out the membership down below for $2.99. Of course, you get these kind of updates that I share essentially throughout the day, intraday, as Tesla's moving live. So yeah, but thanks for watching, and I'll see you tomorrow. Peace.